So I think there's a lot of people that have rebranded themselves as AI ethicists over the past several years. I would argue there's no such thing as AI ethics. Ethics is the study of right and wrong, and the difference between AIs and human beings is that AIs don't have intent. Human beings have intent, and it's intent that needs to get scrutinized from an ethics perspective. There are already standards and mechanisms to scrutinize intent. That said, there are AI ethical questions. For example, if we build a machine that's conscious, do we have the right to turn it off? But these are questions not for business, these are questions for academics and philosophers. I've recently started a research organisation called Consium's stated goal is to build safe and efficient AI. There's a new emerging technology coming out of academia called neuromorphic technologies that are modeled much more on how our brains work. Our brains operate on the power of a light bulb. We learn very quickly, and I think that's going to spawn the robotic revolution. And there's a couple of challenges in that future world. One is that human beings are going to start to attribute consciousness to things that are not conscious, building relationships with them, which could have some social problems. The second is we could be building machines that have consciousness, even insect-level consciousness, and not realizing it and putting them in difficult or awful situations. And we have a duty of care, not just to ourselves and to animals, but we also now have a duty of care to building AIs that are safe. But there's also a bigger question, which is, can we align an AI with a human moral system? So can we build machines that might behave in ways that we want them to behave? And Consium is leaning into solving those three questions. One of my good friends, Callum Chase, coined the term the economic singularity. A singularity is a point in time that we can't see beyond. And it was originally adopted by the AI community to refer to the technological singularity, which is where we build a brain 1 million times smarter than us. The economic singularity is a point in time where we automate the majority of human labour. And there are broadly two ends of the spectrum. One end of the spectrum is that if we free up lots of jobs very quickly, our economies might not be able to rebalance, and it could cause social unrest. And I think we need to lean in and think about how to mitigate those issues. The other end of the spectrum is that if we automate the creation and distribution of goods, food, healthcare, education, energy, transport, we can bring the cost of those goods down to zero. So imagine being born into a world where you don't have to do paid work, but you can access all of the goods that you need to survive and thrive as a human being. Now, people say to me, Daniel, what would I do if I didn't have a job? A job defines who I am as a human being. But I know lots of people who don't have jobs. They're not sitting at home bored and depressed. They are using their time to try and contribute to humanity. I think we all have an innate desire to want to make the world a bit better. And I think most of us are born into economic constraints preventing us from doing that. So the sort of promise of AI, if we implement it correctly, is to create a world where people are free from those economic constraints and they're able to then use their creativity, use their energy to make the world a bit better. And this is a concept called a protopia.